Clint Payne, what's up? Sean Titsworth, good evening, buddy. How's it going? Oh, we got a few people on. Send me more people show up. Chance, Ronnie. Ronnie's in Georgia. Glenn Wilson, good evening. Daryl Hanks, hey, buddy, how's it going? When we start these from now on, I'm going to have everybody kind of give me where you're from, what lakes you're fishing, all that stuff. I want to know everything about the area you're fishing at, and maybe somebody else close by you want to know the same thing too. And we're probably going to end up changing this. I started out on Tuesday nights. This might be the last Tuesday night I do it live. I'll probably push them off till Thursday, I think. Brad Chappell's doing one right now, and I kind of like watching his show too. So I don't want to interrupt with what he's doing or pull viewers from watching him, but I'm probably going to end up pushing it off till Thursday. Toledo Bend. That is one lake I've never fished at, and I would love to get the chance to fish Toledo Bend. Sean from Illinois. I'm digging through some jig heads here. I'm trying to pick out something I want to tie. Tennessee, Chickamauga, and Watts Bar, Fort Loudon. Man, that's a famous known area of lakes to be fishing at. A lot of YouTube videos come off Watts Bar and Chickamauga, and is there another one right there too, pretty close by? Coffin Lake. What UV do I use? There's a lot of different UVs out there, and you can buy UV resins anywhere from next to nothing off of Amazon. You can go to a lot of hobby stores and get it, and it kind of depends on the price you want to pay for it. Temple, Texas. What I use, I had a subscriber sending me Illuma UV. And this stuff works really good. It's probably got a little bit of a faster cure time. Price-wise, this was a whole lot more. But I will stand behind that. That is a very, very good UV resin. A lot of times I'm using stuff that I got off Amazon. I don't know if we get it up here closer enough where you can actually see it. The lights are kind of killing it. Like Cure UV resin. The one I used for the longest amount of time was this stuff. That's what I used for the longest time. I think that's my second bottle, and it's still, I bought this probably 2 years ago, and I think it's still full up to about right here. It's good. It's cheap. The Illuma UV is probably better. Probably some of the best you'll ever use if you want to spend that kind of money for it. But it is awesome to use. Melton Hill, Douglas, and several more, all within driving distance. Yeah, I thought there was quite a few right there in that area. It's almost kind of like where I live at. I'm right in the middle of Lake of the Ozarks, Truman Reservoir, Palm de Terre Lake, Stockton Lake, Table Rock Lake, Bull Shoals Lake. They're all within an hour, almost all of them, except for Bull Shoals. Bull Shoals a little bit further. I've never been on Bull Shoals. But that is the UV resin I use. There's several different types. If you're buying UV resin, you want to buy light cure, LIGHT. It's got to have a light to cure it, a UV light. It's got to be a true UV light. A black light looks the same, kind of shines the same, but it does not cure the same. So you want to make sure that you are being careful with what you buy, because a lot of these lights will advertise a black light as a UV light, and it's not. So be careful with that. That came off Amazon too. I think it was like $11, something like that. And it's almost, I think I started out with this one and still got it. I use that mainly for curing right here. And then I've got a box off to the side that's got some really heavy UV lights in it, aluminum plated, kind of mirror plated inside. Shut that lid off of it, and builds up a little bit of heat. It's called Illuma UV. And that was the name he stuck on it, but I Googled them up, looked them up, and I think they're in Michigan, maybe. They sell all kinds of different brands, all kinds of different types, and it's pricey, but this stuff here is awesome. That's the best thing I can say about it. It's probably got a little bit faster cure time. A lot of times I'm not really worried about how fast it's curing, just so long as it is curing. So like I said, it's up to you. You can go cheap on this. You can go high dollar on it. And there's probably companies that make it that are, might even be better than this. But Illuma UV, I've had great luck with. It gets a little bit tricky to use in the wintertime. You want to keep it warm. You don't want to keep it over a direct heat like any kind of stove or nothing like that. What I do, if I'm going to come down here and my shop's cold, I bring down a hot cup of water and I let that bottle sit in a hot cup of water and get it to where it's pliable, where I can use it a little bit better. I take it from that. I transfer it into these black, dark, empty fingernail polish bottles. So that way I've got a brush to apply it with, and I'm not trying to get it out of this big bottle. Go to Amazon, look up fingernail polish bottles. It should take you'll end up finding these dark ones. Illuma Light is the size. I think you're right. I'm pretty sure. And I've got no complaints with it. It's awesome. It's pricey, but it's very, very good. Really got a really good, clear look to it. But the Amazon ones did too, so I can't say the Amazon ones are bad. I think they all probably kind of do the same thing. Maybe some might do it just a little bit faster. But yeah, I believe Daryl Hanks is right. I'm pretty sure Illuma Light is that site. So with that being said and all that, Mike Coleman, good evening in Alabama. Well, I'm going to tie some jigs. We'll just see where it goes. Anybody fishing this time of year? Anybody got any good fish reports? Any big fish they've caught? Any good jigs they've tied and caught some big fish with it? Here's your chance. Brag on it. You got something you want to share, a website you want everybody to go see, a Facebook page, post it up here. I'll put the link up on the screen, and we'll get everybody following you. This one here is an 1/8 ounce jig head. Came from, man, I can't think of his name. It'll come to me here in a little bit. This was a big profile jig. So sometimes this time of year when it gets cold like this, I like to use big profile baits. They also have mica powders. If there's anyone here on here that makes their own crappie baits, they do have mica powders. There was a lot of stuff that Illuma UV sold. So if you're doing plastic baits and you're looking for mica powder, check them out. It'd be a good spot to start if you was looking for that kind of stuff. And I did not bring out any black feathers. I was going to put in there with that. Tina Ladybug, how are you? Man, I seen that. It was you that posted that fried rabbit today, wasn't it? Chance ready, tying a red jig. Fried rabbit in a cast iron pan. Shoo. Can't go wrong with that at all. Mike Coleman says hello. I thought you just came on, but you've been on here for a little bit. I got that jig all set up and don't really know what I'm going to put in it. It looked good. There's no doubt about that. I think rabbit's better than deer. I said it. I said it. I think it's more tender. It's got a little more flavor in it. I said what I said. I really think rabbit's better than deer. Kind of my opinion. So I've been kind of getting hit up with orders. I don't know if it's like maybe the market's changing or something, or people are wanting to get ready to. Yeah, I like both too. There's no doubt about that. I spent all weekend making deer jerky out of ground meat. We had the meat ground in a burger and dehydrated it. It come out pretty good too. It wasn't too bad. I was kind of ready to be done with it though. I spent all weekend doing that. So wintertime, the lakes we fish up here, when I was out on the lake week before last, I had 48-degree water temperature. Anybody else getting those cold water temperatures? I'm glad we got a deer in the freezer. I know that. I can promise you that. Yeah, it's time consuming, Mike. There's no doubt about that. I spent almost all weekend doing, I want to say I did like 10 pounds. And then once it's one of those things too, once you start eating it, you can't stop. Eat it until it's gone. Eat it till you get sick of smelling it and looking at it. That's about what I did. Kind of what I did. But yeah, our lake temperature was 48 degrees 2 weeks ago. And it's hard to say where it is now because I think today got them up to like 65. We've been having nights in where it's getting in the low 30s and the highs in the upper 50s, 60s. So hopefully that's the winter we're going to have all year. If that's the winter we're going to have all year, then I should have the boat out quite a bit this winter. Kind of like to get my guide trips back up and going again. That was not the color I wanted to tie that jig, but we're going to go with it. Yeah, you spend hours dehydrating it. And in this house, it takes less than a few hours to devour it and be gone, just be a memory. Gone. My little boy, Zach will tear that stuff up. All right, we're going to switch over to a silver jig head, and we're going to be using coyote tail. I was at Plateau Fly Shop this weekend. Picked up some pretty good stuff. If y'all go to this kind of Chanel, I've been getting cheap. The lights are killing me. Antron Chanel. And you can see it's fairly cheap, $3. I stock up on that stuff every time I find it when I'm at Plateau Fly Shop. I love that stuff. I love the way it ties. I like the way it looks. I like the way it overlaps. From Hairline Dubbin. Excuse me. Trilobal Antron Chanel. Small fluorescent fire orange. It's good stuff. Yeah, my son will eat it until he gets sick. There is no doubt about that. Eat it until he gets sick. I'm bad about it too. I made it spicy. I put jalapenos, dehydrated jalapenos, and put that in there. So it had a spicy little kick to it. But to me, it's one of those things. Once you start eating it, you can't stop. I got just a little bit saved back to take to work tomorrow. The foxtail, man. I'm not going to tie the foxtail tonight. I'm going to tie coyote tail. I forgot all about doing that foxtail. It's clear over on the other side of the shop. Let's do. They had this little pack of coyote tail. I got a whole coyote tail down here, but I want to tie with this. I like that. They had that down here. It's $3 a pack. It makes pretty cool looking jigs. Coyote tail actually impressed me on how good it looked. There's how it comes all. And the foxtail kind of comes the same way too, Montez. It'll come just kind of about like that, and you're just going to pick off the fibers that you want. That's a small little patch, and all I'm going to use is like from here up. So I'm not going to get a whole lot of jigs out of that, but actually, it's for the price of it, it's not that bad. How cold is my garage? Actually, right now it's kind of warm. I got a little buddy heater sitting right here, and then I got another little electric heater sitting down here by my feet. And it would probably be pretty close to outside temperature if I didn't have all that stuff going. I kind of keep it all compact a little bit. It don't really seem like it takes that long to get the garage warm enough to come down here and work in the mornings. On Sunday mornings, I get up and I come down here. I get my heaters cranked on. I go back upstairs. I get a pot of coffee going, and come back down here. It's decent enough to tie in. Last winter or the winter before last, it got down in like the real low teens, single digits, and tying down here was out of the question. It didn't happen. I tried to. I could not keep it warm at all. The little buddy heaters, so they're a lifesaver. And that's kind of how it pinched out. I kind of almost don't like it now. We'll see. We're going to tie it in there and see how it does. Have y'all used any kind of coyote tail? Yeah, we'll see. It might not be that bad. Actually, it's not. I like it. I like it. And these are the jig heads that came from Temu. I made a video about that this past weekend. They actually tie pretty good. They look good. I really thought I'd find something bad to say about those, but I didn't. The Wally Marshall jig heads, the Strike King. I'm not sure what I did with them. Sausage heads, they look pretty good too. They were pretty stout, pretty strong. From West Kentucky, Axeman. I was born and raised in north central Kentucky. Grew up right by Fort Knox. Right by Fort Knox. It does look pretty good. It don't look that bad. And my camera, this iPad don't pick up colors as good as what I wish it did, but it's kind of impressive actually. Kind of like how that tied. I didn't think I would, but I do. That's a 16th ounce head, silver head with the red eye in it. We are tying in, what have I got here? New Age Cascade, New Age Chanel, size number 2, copper, golden black is the name of it. And while I got 27 people on here right now, if you don't mind, hit that like button. It keeps YouTube posting it up and keeping it up, stuff like that. Maybe next week or the week after, I think I'm going to start trying to get some guests on. I think I'm going to start out with maybe Team Livingston, my pro staff guys. We might get them on here. Randy Schaefer, good evening, bud. How are you? We'll figure out some stuff to start doing on this live once I got it set up. I kind of like doing it with the StreamYard. Actually seems like it makes things a little bit easier. Randy Schaefer, Mississippi, aren't you? I like how that turned out. It's kind of cool. That's a nice looking little jig. North Mississippi, how the fish doing down your way? You been fishing any? Slammin' Jack. Good evening, Slammin' Jack. Slammin' Jack, where you from? I think that's the first time I've ever seen this name on YouTube. Welcome to my channel. I appreciate it. All this is also being recorded. It's going to go on Spotify. I think that'll be episode like number 4 or 5 on my Spotify channel. Florida. You ain't that far away from spawning fish then, are you? I think, what, crappie spawning in Florida in like late January, early February, something like that? And I could be totally wrong on that. Am I wrong? There for a while, I was selling a lot of jigs to a guy in Florida. Whole lot of jigs to a guy in Florida. He kept me busy for downsize. Do they mean length or weight? Eric Lynn, when people say downsize, do they mean length or weight? Usually when they're talking about downsizing, they're talking about downsizing the whole profile. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about that this time of year when the weather gets cold and the fish get kind of lethargic. So when they're talking about downsizing your bait, fish aren't very active. They're not moving a whole lot. They're holding back that metabolism a little bit, and they don't put a lot of effort into chasing down bait and stuff like that. So when they're talking about downsizing, they're talking about the weight and the profile at the same time. Going to a small jig, 64s and smaller, maybe a jig that don't have a whole lot of bulk in the tail. To me, sometimes in the wintertime, the smallest I will usually go is a 32nd. I don't like fishing 64s. I will. And I do sometimes if I've got the right conditions to fish a bait that small. If I'm out on the lake fishing and I've got no wind and I got really good boat control and I'm in an area with a bunch of trees, I might switch over to a 64th ounce jig. But very rarely do I ever switch over to 64th. The reason I don't like to fish really, really small jigs is because I don't have the patience to let that jig go down. So if I'm downsizing to a 64th of an ounce, and you'll see a lot of these guys now using on live scope, they'll have a real small jig, and then 6-8 inches above it, they got a split shot to help it get down there to the bottom. So what I do, instead of adding that split shot, I will use a really small jig on the bottom and then another small jig up above that I'm kind of using as my split shot, but just to help that bait get down to the depth I want it at a little bit quicker. I've never been a big fan of having that split shot above my jig like that. I always thought it seemed kind of like you might spook the fish, but also a couple times me and my little boy was fishing and he had his jig and he had a split shot. He dropped it in the water and he pulled it up and he had two fish. He had a crappie on his jig and then another crappie with that split shot tangled up around its gill. So to me, that first crappie hit the jig. The second crappie seen a split shot move and it grabbed that split shot. So if I'm going to weight it down to get it down a little bit faster, I'm going to use another jig just in case of scenarios like that. You never know when you're going to catch two at a time. And if you want to have some fun, catching two at a time is the way to do it. And in the wintertime, you'll see a lot of that. You'll see fish that get in really big schools, really tight groups, and you drop two jigs down in the middle of them. Be ready because you will catch two at a time. I took a guy and his son on a guided crappie trip one time, and we ended up catching quite a few crappie like that, catching doubles. And they had a blast. They couldn't believe it. They were, taking pictures of it. And if you don't fish a whole lot, that's really kind of a cool thing, is to catch two fish. Yeah, Mike Coleman's right. It's on a double jig rig, is what I would call it. Usually, I'd never, even if I'm trolling, instead of using a big weight, I'm using a big jig head and then whatever bait's up above that. So sometimes I might even have three jigs on my line. I could have a 3/8 ounce jig head at the bottom, two 16th ounce jig heads up above it with baits on all three of them. Just to count. I mean, if you're dragging something through the water, you might as well up your odds a little bit and put a bait on it. Because you hear a lot of people talk about downsizing in the wintertime. And also ain't nothing wrong with upsizing, going big. that fish is going to be sitting still. It's not wanting to move. There's one big bait right there. He can eat that bait and it can hold it up over, big shad swims by. He eat that shad and know that shad's going to provide him with the right nutrients for, maybe a week before it has to eat again. Don't be afraid to upsize. Try what works. Try different things. Anybody else ever long line, troll, use 3 jigs at a time like that? Yeah. I've got miners sitting in the boat ready to go. Crossing my fingers, hoping I'm not working Saturday. I think the wife, she's going Christmas shopping. I'm loading the boat up. I'm headed to the lake. And this weekend, my plan this weekend is I'm going to kind of do the opposite of what I said. I went to Bass Pro last weekend. I got some 3/8 ounce egg sinkers. They're going to go about 2 foot in front of some really, really small, tiny crankbaits I bought. And I'm going to try to drag those crankbaits instead of crappie jigs. Can you move your camera? The jig is at the bottom of the screen. They don't give you a whole lot of screen here to play with on this. But that's my plan this weekend. 8-foot rod, 10-foot rod, 12-foot rod, 3/8 ounce egg sinker, swivel, and then 2 foot behind that, it's going to be these really small, tiny crankbaits. And I'm really excited about trying this. I really want to see how this works out. I will try. We got on the lake last week and went to go get the GoPro set up. And every time I'd hit record, it would record for a few seconds and shut off. So I don't know what happened to my GoPro camera. I don't use it enough. It's probably rusting from the inside out because I don't use it enough. Usually a lot of times I'll get on fish and totally forget about the camera, but I need to get it set up to where I can show you. Actually, I will this weekend, even if I can do it with my cell phone. I'll show you the rig that I'm going to try to use this weekend. Yeah, I think the crankbaits will work good, and I think the crankbaits along with that little 3/8 ounce weight is going to let me drag baits a little bit faster. I'm shooting for that 1 mile an hour mark is what I'm going to be shooting for this weekend. Last time we went out, we was pulling 16th ounce jigs, and I was going off the guided chart that a friend of mine had sent me, who's the master when it comes to long lining, and he sent me the chart on how fast for what size jig to use, how far down to let it get, what speed, how far down does it go, and all that. It was not a good day. We wasn't catching no fish. They wasn't biting. They wasn't on a standing timber. They didn't want to bite out in the middle of the lake. We put the boat on the water, and within an hour, we got hit with the cold front. Temperature dropped about 10, 15 degrees and could not get a bite. It was just really poor fishing conditions that last time we went out. Man, I've got so many boxes of the jigs I've tied in there. And usually I get so wrapped up in catching fish, I don't stop and take time to record it. Usually after the fact, we're getting them out of the live well, put them in the live well. I'm getting some pictures like that. But I would love to get a good video series going and record everything we do in the boat. But I usually get so wrapped up and excited in catching fish that I forget to record it, to tell you the truth. Mike Coleman says, it'd be cool to see you tie some jigs and catch with them. Interested in knowing about your micro crankbait workout. Mike, I will try to get all that. I'll try to get it recorded. Pulling crankbaits, pulling crappie jigs, there's no reason I can't record it. It should record easy. I'm fishing from the windshield toward the outboard motor. I'm in the back of the boat. I got the windshield to hold the camera. Got the whole back of the boat open. Come along, be the cameraman. I would love to have, and Zach gets the same way too. He gets all wrapped up in fishing. He don't want to deal with the camera, but I'm going to have to make myself do it. I'm getting ready to reset my counter come January 1st. This has been kind of a bad year, but I've got my clicker marked at, I think 420 crappie keepers that have come into my boat. I'm not saying that I kept them all, but that's how many keepers. It was 400 and something. It's like 423 or something like that. Roger Hogan, how's it going today, bud? Nice to see you in. Thanks for dropping by. But I need to just break down, get my camera set up, get it all set up right, do it here in the garage, and make sure it works before I get out on the boat. Have Roger Hogan said, have I ever used raccoon tail? I have not. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I just don't have any, and I don't know if I've ever seen any place sell any. I don't know. I honestly haven't. I've never seen anybody, any kind of fly shop sell raccoon tail. Could be some kind of law against it, because I don't believe I've ever seen that in a fly shop. I've never seen it at Bass Pro, and I've never seen it offered online anywhere. So I don't know. You might want to check into that. I'm pretty sure that if you harvested that raccoon on your own, I'm pretty sure you'd probably be able to use it, I would think. But I've never seen it. That's kind of got me curious why I've never seen it. I would have to think, by the looks and knowing what a coon feels like, that it would be pretty similar to using the foxtail. Mike Coleman said he's used it, and he said it stinks. I got one of these coyote tails down here, and when I take it out of the bag, that thing is horrible smelling. My dog gets all worked up when I get that coyote tail out of that bag. He'll growl at it. He not that he's scared of it or he's curious about it. He growls at it. He's mad at it right off the bat. So I don't know what it is about that coyote tail. It's going to be some pretty cool jigs. Nice, good natural colors. Clint Payne, what would be the best size? Clint Payne asked, what would be the best size Flashabou to make all Flashabou tail? I would use any of it. When you get into the sizes of any of the Flash, I apologize, I don't know the difference in the sizes. And the reason being is that when I was buying small portions at first, when I first started tying, I was getting little small bags of them. And they all come with a little zip tie on it. So when I got all my Flash in, across my table, I drilled all these little bitty holes, and then I run that Flash in through the bottom. So when you're watching one of my videos and you see me down here and I come back up and I got Flash, it's all stuck in my table. So I didn't keep any of the packages to any of my Flash. So I can't tell you the size it is. All I know is I bought some off Amazon, and it was a huge box, and it wasn't that much, but I have got enough Flash to last me the rest of my life, without a doubt. Got a tail. Mike Coleman says he got a tail from a buddy, and not pleasant smelling at all. Yeah, the coyote tail is horrible. I'm not sure if you're talking about the coyote tail or the coon tail, but the coyote tail, there's two of them. One's in a bag, one's fine. The other one, horrible smell. I probably end up throwing it away here eventually. And the bad thing about the coyote tail is they shed. And I noticed this one here too, out of that package, sheds pretty bad also. I mean, it comes off pretty easy. When you get those long pieces on, it ties in pretty good. It stays in. You can't pull it out like that. But to pull it off this little patch of tanned hide, you can see what it's doing. It's gone, floating around the air. There's tons of different material you can tie with. I've got a whole entire pheasant in my freezer. A friend of mine gave it to me. They had shot some this weekend. They took the meat out of it. He put the rest of it in a Ziploc bag. I got it in a freezer, and I just haven't broke it down yet to see what I'm going to use off of it, what I'm not going to use off of it. It don't really feel like just by checking a pheasant that I'm going to use a whole lot off of it. I think a pheasant's got a lot more to do with people that are actually tying flies for trout. The guys that are doing this, I was like a little more picky in colors, kind of like fly tires get, the colors in that tail are absolutely beautiful. Some of the prettiest colors I've ever seen. The only other feathers I've ever seen that were any prettier was a peacock. I think I got I got quite a few peacock feathers. The peacock herl. I've got a lot of that. I tie with that too. Yeah, I got a whole entire pheasant in the freezer. Head, wings, breastplate. So Ranger Hogan says that he ties both crappie jigs and trout and bluegill flies. So maybe you can answer that question. Is certain bird feathers better for tying for trout rather than crappie, or do you go into both of them using the exact same thing? I've never tied with the actual pheasant tail, but I'm sure I will. But I'm pretty sure I'll have that pheasant tail out this weekend. I'll go through that pheasant tail, pheasant feathers, and see what's going to tie with it. And I'll probably end up tying just about anything with it. Or I'll probably take a lot of feathers off of them and use them. The guy that gave them to me, I'll probably make some jigs out of them and take them back and give him some of those. I had a guy one time send me his whole entire turkey fan that he had on his wall to tie some jigs out of. And he just wanted like a dozen jigs out of it, and he just let me keep the whole entire fan. Turkey feathers are really coarse, really heavy on their outside. The breast, the size of the wings, where the marabou comes from, that's a little bit different. But the rest of that turkey was pretty tough to tie with. Very tough to tie with. Anybody got any big fishing plans for this weekend? I'm really hoping I make it out this weekend. I start going too many weeks in a row without fishing. I start to go crazy. I don't know what it is about fishing, but it's kind of where I reset. I don't know how many other people like that. You always read that quote, people fish for years and never realize it's not really the fish they're after. I'm pretty sure a lot of us that fish know exactly what that means. Am I right or am I wrong? Those jig heads are pretty cool. So we got Sally Hansen's on it. Got the hook coated pretty good. And I am tying with Ultra Thread 210 denier. Yeah, it's therapy. It's total therapy. Mike Coleman says, yes, sir, it is total therapy. And it is, too. To me, it is. But, okay, Ranger Hogan, they're both almost completely different in my opinion. Tying trout flies, you have to be really precise, but bluegill, they're easy to tie. You can use crappie jigs to catch good sized bluegill, but I use tiny jig heads for bluegill. I do too. And I'm 100%, you are definitely right on that. There's a difference between trout flies and crappie jigs and bluegill jigs. The process might kind of be the same, but they're two total different jigs. When I first started tying, I was always looking for different ideas and stuff. So I would scroll through YouTube and I would look for fly tying guys, tying flies, just picking up tricks. And to me, it always kind of fascinated me. And you watch some of those guys that I remember watching this guy on YouTube, and I never could find him afterwards. But it was an older gentleman. He was I don't know where he was. I want to say he was foreign. I don't know where I can't think of where he was from. He was in this room with this big oak table and mahogany walls, and he had his Renzetti vise there, and he was tying this. I started out with a bare hook, by the time he got done, it looked like a bug that if somebody would have dropped it in my hand, I would have, freaked out and dropped it. But it was the coolest thing watching this man take this bare hook and transform it into this bug that was so realistic looking. And I really wish I could remember his name or find that video again, because I would love to call that guy out. I'd love to have somebody like that live on here with me and talking to me about. It feels to me like we do the redneck version of what they do. There is such an art to watching some of these guys tie some of those bugs. And if you scroll through YouTube long enough looking for fly tires, Google up peak rotary vices, you'll start finding a lot more of those videos. But that one old guy, just, I don't know what it was, his surroundings, the way he had recorded that video, the lighting or what it was, but it was one of the coolest looking things I had ever seen. And, I just started tying, and I thought at first that would be the direction I would end up going, end up tying stuff for trout. But me crappie fishing as much as what I do, I kind of stuck with crappie jigs, bluegill jigs, walleye jigs, bass jigs. And I don't really want to get into tying trout flies just because I'm afraid I will totally quit tying crappie jigs, because I'll be so involved and wrapped up in tying some of those trout flies. And yeah, Mike Coleman says some of the guys are just absolutely amazing. And they are. It's totally mesmerizing watching a bare hook turn into a bumblebee or a cicada or something like that. It's really, really cool looking. The amount of work they put into each one's crazy. So impressive, so smooth. So, and they do it without the guy that was doing it that I watched. Every single wrap had a purpose, why it was exactly here and not a 30-second over it. It was all so well thought out, and there was not one missed wrap or one wrong wrap. And if there was, hats off to him for camouflaging and not letting anybody know it's not what he wanted to do. But you go back through all my videos, and I never edited any of my videos where I was actually tying a jig, because I wanted everybody to see what mistakes will happen, what mistakes do happen. And I didn't know how to edit, to tell you the truth. I can now. I can edit bad stuff out, but I still don't. There's all kinds of little mistakes you make. There's all kinds of things you go back and you watch and you say, man, I should have done that different. I should have wrapped that head one more time. There's a little more room in that body than what I thought there was. And I still watch a lot of the guys that most people think that we compete against each other, but we don't. I watch Kim Burnett tie jigs. I watch Ruben Flores tie jigs. I watch Small Jaw tie jigs. You name it. If somebody's on YouTube or Facebook tying a jig and I'm on and I'm watching, I will usually always stop. You can always learn so much from watching other people, not just by copying their jig or using something from them that you watched. The UV resin came from, this is how I got into using the UV resin. I didn't like using the super glue, head cement. I just didn't like it. It was always messy. So I was watching one of those guys on YouTube tie flies, and he got done tying this fly, and he got this bottle of stuff out, and he put a couple little drops on the top of it, and he took that flashlight and he held it on there. And when he told me that was UV resin that had hardened like that, I was on a mad search for trying to find out where to get UV resin. And that's how I started using UV resin, was watching those guys tie flies. What time is my live going to end? It's going to end at 8 o'clock, another 15, 16 minutes, something like that. But watching that guy use those couple little drops transformed my jigs into using the UV resin like I do. So I got to give a head, it wasn't something I thought of, or, it wasn't my idea. I watched somebody else use it for a different purpose, but kind of the same purpose. And, at first I started just dabbing that UV resin on a thread and holding that light on it, getting it hardened up. Then I realized what that UV resin was actually doing. And that's how I got into, instead of using the super glue on the eyes, I stick the eyes on, I paint it on with the UV resin, put it in my box and cure it. I've sealed my eyes. I've sealed my paint. I sealed the threads, which are the most important part of using the UV resin, is getting that UV resin inside those threads and protecting that thread from being in the water. And that's my biggest reason for using the UV resin. Mike Coleman says, tying jigs is an art, man. You either love it or you hate it, and 31 of us love it. Great job, Eric. Thank you, Mike. And I'll go through spurts. I'll go through 6 months of just down here, just tying. And then I get sometimes to the point where I'm sick of it and I don't want to do it. I don't want to see nothing. I don't want to see thread. I don't want to hear anything about a crappie jig. Then I get over it and I go right back to it. Give yourself a break, because I promise you, you will burn yourself out on this if you're not careful. If you're going to do this and start selling, build up a huge inventory first before you start throwing that stuff on Facebook or online. You'll be surprised at how much you can get flooded. Keep your prices consistent. If you're running way under everybody else's price, you're going to get so flooded with stuff that you're not going to be able to keep up, and you'll turn a fun little hobby into a 7-day week job. Because I did it for 2 solid years, 7 days a week, pretty much. I tied jigs every single day. Have I ever fished Stockton? Absolutely, I fished Stockton. I don't fish Stockton for crappie or bass, but I fish Stockton more for the walleye. This past summer, we started. I wanted to fish for something different. I got tired of chasing crappie all the time. I was kind of in that. I'm sick of tying jigs. I'm ready to go fish. I started watching some videos on Stockton Lake and what the walleye do. I started reading every article I could on Stockton and the walleye. We did 3 or 4 trips out, never got a bite, skunked all 3 or 4 times. Went one more time right as the weather was changing in the middle of the day. Big storm front was coming through. You could see the clouds on the horizon. I mean, it looked like a horrible storm. And those fish just boom, boom. Then walleye turned on so fast. And once that storm got over top of us, it quit. Went back the next time, started fishing in the morning before sun come up. We limit out. We did it like 3 or 4 times. And now I'm ready to get back on to Stockton and get back into those walleye. And Randy Schaefer says the UV makes them last longer. I agree 100%. The UV resin is it's pretty much just like the clear coat on your car. It will eventually, over time, it's going to break down. It's going to break down. It's going to let the paint bust off it. It's going to let the eyes chip off of it. I got 2 guys, Team Livingston, that are on my pro staff team. They take them out. They beat them up. They take them down to Grenada. They take them to Mississippi. They take them all over the country, and they catch some really big monster crappie on them. And I've seen pictures where got 50 fish on this jig. I took a picture of it. They sent it to me. The paint busted off of it. The eye was gone off of it. And it wasn't from beating it on rocks. It was just from fish tearing that jig up. They will break down. I don't believe there's any way, unless that eye is soldered in or welded in or drilled in with the metal core, that you're ever going to 100% be able to keep those eyes on those jig heads. Eventually, over time, they are going to fall off. Lost Viking. Sorry, I'm late to the party. Got the painting jig heads. I lost track of time. Well, you're here now. We're still on for another 12 minutes. Close to the end of spring and beginning of summer is good for walleye in Stockton. I want the winter time Stockton walleye. That's what I want. I was waiting for temperatures to get down into the 30s to 40s, cloudy, dreary days. That's what I'm waiting for to go after the crop or the walleye in Stockton. And Ranger, if you live close enough to Stockton, yell at me sometime. I'd love to meet you up there and go fishing. The walleye, I got really, really wrapped up in the walleye there for 3 or 4 months, and then it got so hot that I didn't want to. And then I wanted to start putting more fish in the freezer, so I started going back to palmy crappie fishing. But I got so addicted to catching those walleye. And the first time, I ain't gonna lie, the first time we caught that first one, it was just like I caught the first fish ever in my life. And actually, what I did actually worked. The techniques I used and followed worked. I couldn't believe it. I got to give credit to another guy on YouTube. He does like Stockton Walleye Report videos on bass, crappie. Can't think of his name, and I really need to give him a shout out for that, because He was the one I watched on YouTube, and he was talking about walleye patterns on Stockton Lake. I took his advice, and it paid off. It really worked. Ranger Hogan says he lives over at Fordland, so about an hour and a half drive. I love fishing Stockton. Palmy's my favorite. Palm de Terre is my favorite. Ronnie Harris, thank you for taking time to do videos and lives. Have learned a lot from you. Enjoy them all. I love doing them. Just so long as, so long as the views are staying up and people are getting engaged with it and people are talking, and I still want some ideas for what y'all want to see on the live. If y'all want to see a certain person on the live, let me know, and I will do my best to try to do that. This is 2023. I can do a live video with somebody that's 1,000 miles away. All I got to do is link them into my StreamYard account, and we can both be on here. So, or hit somebody up and tell them, hey, get a hold of Eric Massey. He'll do a live video with you. I'm not going to turn very many people down, and there'll be times that I will pick some of you guys that are always commenting on my videos and stuff like that, and guys that I know that are out fishing a lot. I will probably ask one of y'all eventually over time to do a live with me. And Ranger, give me, I'll start on your jig heads tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how long it'll give me to paint them. I'm going to put eyes in them, UV resin coat them, bag them up, and get them in the mail to you. I'll send you all those ones I got back here that I'm not going to tie with. And all those are just some that I painted too many, some that orders backed out. They're good jig heads. The hooks are good. The lead's good. The paint's good. I'll send them to you. You work your magic on them. But I'd love to see pictures of what you do with them. So keep me in mind on that when you're tying those jigs up. And with that being said, it's been 51 minutes. And like I said, you can go back if you want to hear something I said, something different. Go back to my Spotify account or watch this again on YouTube. But I am doing this also live on Spotify. This is number 5, I think. Good. I would love to see pictures of them, Ranger. Yep. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It helps. I know y'all probably get sick of hearing people on YouTube say hit that like, share, subscribe. But there it is. I said it. That's all I'm going to say it on this video. And I'm going to get ready to shut this down and call it a day. I've been on the go since I got up at 4:15 this morning. Couldn't sleep. Made some coffee and got ready for work. So like I said, if y'all know somebody you want to see on my channel live, let them know. Send them a message. Tell them to get a hold of me, and we will get them on here live. We've had a good 30 people watching tonight. A good crowd. I want to thank all of y'all for being here and watching. But we're going to call this one done one more time. Hit that thumbs up. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. We will see you next week, and I will let y'all know on YouTube on a post somewhere, whether it be Tuesday night or Thursday night, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to move to Thursday night because I'm missing out on the crappie connection too. That being said, see you guys. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe.